I added the top one I stuck on there was the one I thought could be the best conversation topic. We've
Yeah, that's
touched
good.
on it
I'll
before.
wing it.
Cool.
All right, well, here we go.
User in your channel started recording.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Chris Scales,
Hey, Mike.
Greg Hectus,
What up, boys?
Stephen Llewellyn,
How's it going, guys?
and Tony Groves.
Good evening, fellas.
Hey, nice turnout tonight. Thanks for coming, guys. All right, well, let's jump into a conversational topic to start off. Alexander Horn wrote up in the forums about a thread that was going on about why series might die, and there's so many different series out there that we can run in the official series with the different car and track combinations and so forth. That eventually there's no participation, and that's really what the thread is about. And so I'm going to open it up. What do you guys think? Why do these series die? I think it's just we don't have enough people. There's too many options.
Well, on this post, somebody had brought up an interesting fact, and this is probably one of my big reasons, is
Oh, I lost them.
anniversary races were a good example. Those were a lot of fun, and I would have loved to run a ton of them, but couldn't because I would have destroyed my safety rating and I rating and steered
I
clear of it.
agree.
And
I agree, except I would say it's I rating, not safety rating.
yeah, that's actually what I meant was I rating. But Alexander Horn actually chimed in on this thread and mentioned that iRacing is looking into possibly separating out the iRating for the different series, which I personally think would be awesome.
Well, it's actually I rating per car, not series. So if you
yes,
did it by
per car.
so every time you flip from like the A car to the B car to the C truck, you would have a different I rating depending on what vehicle it is. And that's what they're talking about. And that's been talked about for years to have something like that because it makes sense, It kind of is the same idea when dirt came along and they had to separate the dirt oval license from the pavement oval license. And we were afraid to run on dirt because we didn't want it to mess up our oval I rating. Because we're trying to run for points in NASCAR over a 36-week season, and boy, if you run dirt, it's going to mess that up. And so this is the same thing, what you're talking about, run that official anniversary series, which I did and lost, I think it was 110 I rating in one of them.
Yeah, mine was I lost triple digits in one as well. And yeah, speaking of that GRS or whatever they call it now, I mean, that's as soon as they made that its own I rating, you've like immediately jumped on it and had a blast running it. And still do for fun sometimes.
Right.
I think some of the bigger problems here with some of the series dying off is people coming in now. There's a lot of content. Like for me, over the years when I first started, there wasn't very much. So every time there'd be an update, I could keep caught up with investing in it. But it's hard to get even when I was talking with Mike this week, we were trying to decide if we're going to run our our endurance race this week. Well, he doesn't have the track. He doesn't know if he's going to spend any money on it. Like it's just difficult with the amount of content that there is per person.
Yeah, it's a nice problem to have, right?
Well, yeah, it is a nice problem to have, but like Greg was mentioning, like somebody just coming into the sim. I've been on for a couple of years now, but I remember when I first got on, I was a little overwhelmed. Now I did some digging and found the best course of action is like, okay, well, where do you want to go? And you kind of got to plan out your route through iRacing. But yeah, there's a ton. I mean, I've bought cars and tracks that I've raced once and never touched again.
Well,
Yeah, and if you don't plan it, then you're spending money willy-nilly, And, if you want to be kind of prudent about it, you got to, okay, I'm going to be an oval driver, or I'm going to be a road course driver, and you buy accordingly.
well, and it also sucks for Tony, myself, and Mike on the team here, plus anybody else, the, Canadian exchange rate adds extra to our cost. Any exchange rate will cause problems.
Yeah, I didn't even take that in consideration. You guys got it's a little bit more of an investment.
Yeah, so it is an interesting issue. I think the answer is let's grow our sport. Let's get more drivers involved, and you know, us embedding with NASCAR is definitely going in the right direction for that. I think.
Yeah, I think if you tripled the amount of people that are on the sim, that's going to fix all those problems because
Right.
put enough people on there, it's going to fill those
Then
spots.
you're going to want all that content, you know.
Well, even look at today's results for the NIS Open race. Usually there was like 3 or 4 splits at Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. There was 1 split today.
Well, it is Darlington.
Yeah, I know it's the track, but I mean, you don't want to have it drop off, week by week like that, right?
Right. That's crazy to have 33 as a max amount of drivers for, one event in the NIS, which is usually the most popular one or one of the most popular oval series anyway.
Well, and how many guys that, when you think about it, I own all 3 cars. I own all the tracks for the NIS. Like that's a big investment just to go through the NASCAR series. So if you're probably looking at probably $500 to $1,000 of an investment there.
Yeah. Tony, you've been building up, you had to build up your repertoire of tracks, so you had all of them, right?
Yep, sure did. Bank account took a hit for that one. Yeah, it's definitely an investment. It's not cheap to do it. I'm with Greg. I've got all 3. I got the truck, the B, and the A car, and all the tracks to run the season. But that's I had to plan it out and be careful because there's other stuff that I'd be interested in running, and for 2 reasons. One, the money for one, and then the other is the iRating, like the K&N car. I absolutely love that K&N car, but I get a little scared to run it because if I bite it in that race, like that's just a huge hit to the iRating, and my iRating ain't very good as it is, and I'm trying to get up out of the bottom split. So if I take that hit, man, it just sets you back so far.
Well, and today I just before after I got out of my NIS race, I wanted to do a 10th anniversary race, and I went in that. I finished 5th, and I still lose iRating.
Yeah, I applaud the idea of doing iRating by car. I pretty much operate that way already by only running the A car in the NIS series, and very rarely do I run anything else official oval. So I basically have an iRating for the A car, but if we could get everybody to that, and I would be a lot more open to run other stuff, because I could jump in the B car or the C truck and not worry about it's going to affect my 36 weeks, point season, what I'm trying to do in the A car, which is very hard and delicate to maintain iRating and try to grow. And so it opens up all that opportunity to run other series. And I wouldn't care about my iRating in the other ones, because I'm only worried about the A. So I would run those races more. And so I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Like instead of on a night when NIS is off and we're bored, instead of going and run a car cup race, we run a C fixed. Go run a truck race on
Right.
the track that we're actually racing that week.
Yeah, it would make
Or
sense.
maybe-
Go ahead.
Sorry, Greg. For me, I'm terrible at short tracks, and I'd love to go race more short tracks so I can start getting good at it. But yeah, and if I had a separate iRating for those those cars that specifically run those short tracks, I would be
User
much more
disconnected from your
inclined
channel.
to go race them.
Now, Tony, with you saying that, would this AI that might be coming eventually, would that help you try and go and learn maybe and and run short tracks more?
Yes,
Heck
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, and I am totally 100% for this AI coming in, for that specific reason, because it's going to help me get better.
It'll make practice so much funner. I mean, because you have other cars around,
Well, that's what I was practicing a bit for Darlington this week, and I on me. It was on me this week why I didn't have a good finish this afternoon. But um, if I had, something else on that track to judge up against, like even trying to get off the corner behind a car and turn it down the track and know what the car is going to do, that's where you're losing in practice.
Right. Yeah, it'll be nice. All right, let's keep moving. Chris, you got the next one.
Yeah, so this is actually the closest thing I've seen to an official announcement that we won't be racing the Roval coming up at Charlotte, which is disappointing in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this is a post on the NIS forums, and some people were asking which version of the track we were going to be running, and Tyler Hudson chimed in with a very simple NIS will be using the oval.
But there was a
Yeah,
post the other day that I had posted. I don't know if I actually did post it, saying that the oval was going to be, or the Roval was going to be ready for that date. It was coming after the build.
Yeah, I remember hearing something like that, and there was talk that they were inviting real NASCAR drivers up to the iRacing so they could get on the track early if they wanted to. I remember that too. But boy, Tyler Hudson putting this up, that doesn't get more official than that.
Yeah, so it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, if you, I think it's on the second page. There's a link in in a reply that heads over to Tony Gardner, saying that it's not going to be ready for this build, but they're working like really hard to try and get it out.
Well, they have until next year at this point, so who cares?
That's kind of disappointing because on one fact that that's a track that no one's going to use again. Now they'll probably bring it out on one of the things, but they're never going to use it until the next time that NASCAR goes there. Like it's kind of a complete disappointment to not finish it up. I mean, if there's setbacks and stuff like that from iRacing, it happens, but that's it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, they're working real fast to get it done, so we can wait 12 months to use it 12 months from now, right?
Yeah, and the crappy thing is, what happens if they have the real race and they're like, okay, well, this track is not what we thought it was going to be. We're going to need to make these changes. Then iRacing has to go in and scan it again, and do we have it for next year?
Or they scrap it and say, it didn't work. We have to go back to the oval.
Yeah, we're just going to run the oval.
We'll just throw restrictor plates on everything.
Yeah, that very well could happen. That's crazy. Oh, well, oval it is. Okay. Greg, you got the next one.
This one's the post of, why we love sim racing. It was a very well done video. I can't. Who was it that posted it, Mike? I don't have the link.
Sim Racing Academy.
Oh yeah, Sim Racing Academy. There we go. And they did a really nice video montage of of their favorite the groups, their teams, what they race in, and why they love iRacing. And it was really well done. It was been posted on Facebook. I think it was on Twitter. It was all over the place, and even on the forums and everything. And I just want to say, they did a really well done job on that video.
Yes. And it talks about the emotions that you go through as you're on a team and you're racing. And, one of them was goosebumps. The other one was enthusiasm. Sweat was another one. And, they have all these different things, and they're showing, montages of races and whatnot, mostly road courses, but also them working on setups and launching iRacing. And they even have, shots of the rig and that kind of stuff. I have to paint the car, so they actually show them, building the paint, and then that kind of stuff. So it kind of covers all the aspects of being in sim racing, because it's more than just being on the track. You got to have a paint job. You got to be in a team. You got to build a set, and all these emotions that happen. Very cool. I loved it. It really pumped me up when I saw it. And I think it's really a tribute video for the 10-year anniversary, too.
Yeah, as soon as I watched it, I was ready to go racing. It was a really well done video.
Yeah, and the graphic overlays and everything they did with the words and stuff, that it was very fun to watch, and I was very impressed. So anyway, check that out on YouTube, guys. Sim Racing Academy. All right, Tony, you're next.
Yeah, tribute videos. We got another one come up, and this one was made by iRacing. Obviously about the 10-year anniversary, talking about their 10-year journey and how they got to the point that they're at today. I watched this video a couple days ago, and I loved it. I loved it. They kind of take you right back to the beginning and tell you kind of what they were going through and how they got their ideas and how they got their start. Well produced. Their videos have just been bang on this last little while. What are you guys' thoughts on the video? Did you watch it?
Oh yeah, this is a history lesson in iRacing, is what this is, because it's the founder, David Kamer, who's the tire guy, the tire guru, we should call him, but he's the founder of iRacing. He founded the company with John Henry from Roush Fenway Racing and the Boston Red Sox and whatnot. And anyway, John goes through and he's talking about all kinds of, or excuse me, Dave, he's talking about how he built this product, how it started as, NASCAR, Grand Prix Legends and NASCAR 2003 and whatnot. And they bought out the remnants or the code, the base code of that software, and took it and ran with iRacing. And it's been 10 years. And it's a nice tribute video, but it gives you a good history, really, of where iRacing was and where it is. And towards the end, they even show their champions, like that they've had in the peak over the years, and that was kind of neat to see Tyler Hudson up on the stage, getting his big check, and then they show, Hutu getting in a real race car, and other people that have been able to do that, and it's really interesting. I thought it was a great video.
Yeah, it gave me a history lesson for sure. There's some stuff there I didn't know. And a very young Ray Alfala in that video.
Well,
Right.
and they went from the history, and then they showed the future at the end, where it's going.
Wow.
Yeah, that was impressive.
It's a day-night transition.
And the day-night transition looks like it's definitely going to be a game changer or sim changer.
What's interesting that I didn't think about really was the cloud, the cloud cover that moves, that is blowing from one way to the other. It really does show that, and I guess I didn't realize that day-night would be part of that.
I was going to say, with the way that that's looking and the way that all that stuff's operating, you're going to see a lot of really low-end graphics cards go on sale on the used sites, and people trying to get all those high-end graphics cards going.
Yeah, can you imagine how much it's going to change the tracks? I mean, we already have tracks now where one end, the corners going in one end of the track will be completely different because of shade, caused by the bleachers. But now that shade will be moving throughout the race. That's going to be really cool.
Well, and the other thing is a track like even this week, we could have a transition from afternoon to nights like it's supposed to be. And
Right.
Same thing with like Bristol and Richmond and all those races that go from a late afternoon into the night.
Yeah, good point. And we've seen this week at Darlington what a huge difference 10 degrees in track temp can make.
Well, yeah, and that would be. Could you imagine the race setting it up and then having to figure out what you're gonna do to change it mid-race?
You'd have to learn how to make those changes.
It would
on the fly to be successful.
Yeah, and it would make a lot of people. There'd be some comers and goers depending on what the track temperature was.
The quality of the day-night transition and the reflections of the sun and all that are top-notch. I'm just blown away by what I'm seeing here. It looks really good. All right, so Tony, what else do they got for 10 years?
Well, I mean, with any birthday, you gotta have cake, and they posted up a picture on their Instagram, the happy 10th cake that they got to celebrate with. I mean, who doesn't like cake, right? And well, the best part about it, the one that we all kind of get a little thank you for buying in and being subscribers. Every active user got their $5 deposited into their account. I love free money, and I'm
Right.
sure everybody else does too.
Does anybody realize how much money that costs them? Like, not really cost them. I mean, obviously it'll help generate stuff, but that's
Well,
like,
what was it? How many active members did we say last
well,
week
I
that there
just,
were?
it was like 73,000, so it's
So that's your
360,
number, 73,000 times 5.
which is $365,000.
That's it. Technically, that is how much they're writing off probably on their taxes.
Well, and you know what the other thing, like if you got to think of that, okay, yeah, it's $5 they lose off of it, but I took that $5 and purchased a car. So would I have purchased that car without the $5? So they did generate some revenue off of whatever was left over.
Sure, it's gonna turn in. Yeah. So what is the overall take? Eventually, they get that money back. Everyone will spend the $5, right?
And sometimes it'll be more, right? Like, I put
Yeah.
$5 in and you're spending 11 bucks. That's why they have the pricing exactly the way they do. They got it.
Yeah, it was very cool that they did that, though. I think it was a good thing.
Yep, the way I look at it, $5 is $5, and it's $5 I didn't have to put in myself, so that is just awesome.
Right.
Another big thing that they were running the 10 years of Legends, and that's where they were giving out $100 in iRacing for credits for, excuse me, for each of the
10
races,
guys.
the winners. Yeah.
I think it's random.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, so you just run the series, and then they pick 10 at random, and those 10 get $100.
Okay, so
that's every week for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we've got a short list of people that have won already. Andrew Wooten, Victor Robertson, David Wright 2, Andrew Mraz, Ed Cooper, Aaron Edgar 2, Tyson Palmquist, Guillermo Marque Alvarez, James Mallow, Ty Marasco, and if I butchered any of those names, I do apologize, but each of those guys have all won $100 iRacing credits.
So they'll get over it if you got their names wrong because they have the credits.
Yeah, they can wipe their tears with their $100, right?
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed I wasn't on the list, but
yeah, same here.
All right, well, let's keep moving.
So we paid our 100 in safety rating or I rating. Why can't we get our $100 credits?
All right, so next was a forum post about finish the sentence. It says, when day-night transitions come out, what are you going to do? And so one guy says, I'm going to fly my race blimp to the sun. Another guy, what was it? I have to find it.
That race blimp one's funny because I've seen a YouTuber chase the the jets that fly over sometimes. I've seen him. What's it, Matt Malone? He uses the camera and he chases after the jets when they go over top.
Perfect. Yeah, the other good one was when day-night transitions come out, we're going to run Talladega at night with cup cars. In the dark.
That'd be cool.
In the dark.
But I'm guessing that's not going to be, every track's not going to have day-night transitions because it's only going to be the tracks that actually have lights that are designed to be run at night, I bet. They wouldn't do every track.
Are we going to have a moon model? So if it's full moon, there'll be some illumination. You know what I mean?
It'll be interesting to see what's all going to be entailed in that because I can't see them, because if you just did a track like Talladega, it would just be completely pitch dark by the time the night hit.
That's what would make it fun. That was what would make it fun. You just run until there's only one guy left.
So it'd be a normal NIS race?
You know?
Yeah, it'd slowly get darker until you couldn't see anymore.
Anyway, it was kind of a neat idea. I was thinking Talladega at night, there's no lights. You don't have lights on the cars, and maybe you're running around under moonlight or something.
You just got to set your car so low that the track bars drag all the way across the track so you know where everybody is.
Okay.
I can
all
see Hammer's somewhere saying challenge accepted.
All right, so we got to come up with a good idea, another good idea that might work to do something in the dark. But all right, moving on. This is a discussion about. I went and ran some races. I won Delara Dash at Phoenix. Thank you very much, and put up a win. And then the next race I did Pickup Cup, and I started 12th, got up to third, and I was really going to get those leaders, man. I was feeling like another win. I had another win under my belt, and there was a guy on the apron, and he was just kind of crawling along. He was on the apron. He waited until I came by, and then came right up into me intentionally. And I wasn't the only one. I went back and looked at the replay of him wrecking me, and then right before he wrecked me, he wrecked another guy actually intentionally. Like he came out of the pits and pulled it right up on the track and just took out whoever he could. And then half a lap later, he did the same thing to me. So I did file a rare protest. I rarely file protest, but when I get intentionally wrecked, and it's very intentional, especially when you see it multiple times in a short period, I'm going to do it. And so I filed the protest. I did have to wait the waiting period, and I was like ready to go to bed. It was kind of irritating because I couldn't turn off the computer. I had to wait to hit the submit button till like, I don't know how long, 20 minutes go by or something. But I did do it. I ended up staying up, and I did push the button, and that guy, hopefully he's gone. So I don't know how often you guys are protesting, but I'd rarely do it. But I had to do it, especially if I'm the one caught up.
Yeah, you need to take the time, and when somebody's just completely out of line like that, and I think a lot of times somebody will see somebody like that, and they'll just kind of, and he's probably caused problems for other people in the race, and they'll kind of be like, well, those other guys will protest him, and then nobody gets it done. So it's definitely worth taking the time. I think we had another teammate that filed a protest this week too. Had some rough racing.
I don't. I
You
just.
got to.
I'm sorry, Mike. I just don't understand. I still don't understand. You hear it in races all the time. Guys are talking and they're mad and stuff like that, and they're upset. They do realize that this is gonna happen. Like, if you do something, there's so many replays. There's so many people streaming nowadays. There's so many things that are going on that why is anybody even thinking about doing it anymore? Like they can, I guess maybe they can want to take a week off, but I'm not throwing money down the drain like some of these people want to do, I guess.
I mean, it could be the guy's brand new. Maybe it's his first day. He doesn't know. He's in pickup cups, So I'm not
It's true.
expecting much, but I don't expect to be intentionally wrecked. But my point is to everybody, listen, if you don't police it, who will? Okay? Now, I'm not saying be aggressive. I'm not saying you need to find somebody to protest all the time. It's when it's very blatant like this. You got to take the time and do it, guys, because that's how we make this a better service for everybody. All right, let's move on. Chris, what do you got next?
Next is an article from jalopnik.com titled Rapid Degradation of Silverstone's New Track Surface Blamed for MotoGP Race Cancellation. I mean, this is terrible for them. They just got done repaving like a huge chunk of this track, and apparently it's already coming up because some bad drainage, basically, I guess. But what I don't understand is where the curse of iRacing comes in here. Maybe I haven't been around long enough.
Well, every time iRacing scans a track, something happens where they have to change the track.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it. And they just scanned this.
For example,
oh man, that's terrible.
Pocono's a good example. They went and scanned Pocono, and then I think it was maybe Casey Kane spun off a 3 into the pit road, and like it was a bad accident, and so they ended up extending the pit road. And so that happened right after the scan. So anyway, that kind of stuff happened. So they just scanned Silverstone. We talked about it last week, I think. And now they're talking about maybe they're going to have to repave it because guess what? When they repaved it, they made it too flat. And so there's no drainage at all. And so if there's any rain at all, it's like unusable.
Yeah, maybe this is why they have a hard time getting to all these tracks. The tracks don't want them in because they don't want part of this curse. They can't afford it.
And then, of course, there's a forum post where they start talking about Well, when we get rain in iRacing, and then we're going to be at Silverstone, are we going to have the same problem because the track's too flat?
You would think so, right? I mean, if it was a scan.
Yeah. I would think gravity works the same way.
That's
All
gotta
right, Greg,
that
what's next?
that's gotta be a hard thing to even code, is to try and code where water is gonna go after it drops, straight down diagonally or whatever, like, on a diagonal or whatever. That'd be really hard to code. That's gonna be a long time out for them to do
Yeah.
that
Do
bit.
they have to like code in the drainage system, or do they just have like water goes away in X number of seconds, like it's rolling off the track? Who knows?
I remember watching a race at Road America where there was like a river going across the track, and they were like having to drive through it. I mean, that'd be cool if they could recreate that kind of stuff.
It would be interesting because they also got to incorporate where the sun's coming down on the track, what the temperature's at, to evaporate it too, right?
Oh man, it's amazing when you start thinking about all the moving factors.
Yeah, it should make for some interesting 24-hour races once we have all this stuff.
All right, Greg, what you got next?
All right, so I just opened it here. This is the first time I've seen it. So in June, um, Nicholas Bailey was posting about this. In June, a new CDN option, CloudFront, was available for users to download iRacing. I'm guessing to speed up the way that they could download it. And
Yeah, the updates.
so um, I guess they have a new. What I'm reading here is so you can choose Limelight or CloudFront in the drop-down menu to try a different way of getting your access to download the updates faster.
Yep. So they're moving away from what was called Akamai, which I think was Amazon servers, to Limelight, which I really haven't heard much about. So anyway, if you don't do anything and you're on the default setting for download, it says it will randomly assign you which content delivery network you will download from when you do an update. It'll either be CloudFront or Limelight. Now you can go in and change it to be one or the other and save it, but I don't know why you would want to do that.
Well, how any of you guys, when you've downloaded, like, I had obviously just redid the system, so I've downloaded. I'm guessing this is for people that start right from scratch, right? It's the biggest problem because the updates don't take near as long. But once you get the first download, at least if you have a big file of the download, saved to your system, when you load the, install next time, if you have to redo a whole thing, it's only a small update instead of a full download, which is the easier way to go. But I guess this is the problem for the people that just start iRacing or have to download it again because they've lost the download file, I guess.
I've never had a problem myself, but apparently there are people that do. In the last year, we've seen reports of it. So, but I personally have never had an issue, no matter what. All right, Tony Groves, you're next.
Yeah, this one's kind of a fun one. There's iRacing tweeted a picture with the caption, "Fire resistant? Probably not. Stylish? Absolutely." And well, it's the pit guys in the lumberjacks and lumberjack jackets and work boots and jeans. It's really neat. I mean, it's good that they're being safe with the helmets and stuff. But this is a nice little play for the pit crew.
I couldn't believe this when I saw this. I started laughing out loud. I'm thinking long sleeve flannel shirt with blue jeans, and I just it never occurred to me that you could paint the pit crew to look like that, and that's exactly how they look. They look like the lumberjacks.
That's not an easy paint job to do, especially with the detail that he's put into the jeans. And, getting the shirt to wrap around the body the proper way and to connect with the sleeves, it's not an easy paint job.
So we started talking about on the thread was, well, what would be some other unique paint jobs? And I think I came up with ballerina and then what was the other one? Hazmat suit, like the yellow hazmat rubber suits. And then somebody else, Phil Linden, said space suit, which I thought would be pretty cool.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I've seen anybody do anything like that. That's a hilarious idea. Especially if you had a whole race full of guys that had all these goofy, uh, teams. So you have, in the first stall you have spacesuit, next you have hazmat suit, and the lumberjacks.
Yeah, if we could see all the crews, you can only
Yeah.
see your own, but. All right, I got the next one. Steve Myers from iRacing and iRacing.com did tweet about, hey, we bid and won the auction on Clint Boyer's gloves through the Dale Jr. Foundation, and we want to continue the charitable cause. Retweet and comment with proof of a $5 or more donation to the Dale Jr. Foundation, and we will pick a random winner next Friday.
I like the one post in there. If I donate $10, can I get 10K I rating?
Okay. But wow, I mean, all you have to do is send Dale Jr. $5, and you're in the drawing to basically win these gloves. And these are the cool looking ones that have the skeleton fingers on them, so to speak.
It's such a cool and great idea. I mean, to get a pair of those gloves would be awesome, but then you're also supporting a really good foundation as well. And it's kind of doubly so because they've already bought the gloves, and now we all get a chance to get them for like $5 or $10. Awesome.
I think that's the race that Chase Elliott won. His went for 10 grand, and they went to a fan too. I think Chase and Rick Hendrick were both bidding on it, and they got outbid by a fan. That's really cool. 10 grand.
Wow. So I wonder what iRacing had to bid to get these.
I bet nowhere near that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think
sure.
that was it, but
Yeah, I think
but
Chase
still,
is-
it wasn't chump. It's not chump change,
No, I'm sure they had to choke up a decent amount. That's pretty awesome. I'm sure they'll keep doing that every year.
Now, here's what I'm thinking. How many people actually see this tweet? I mean, it says there's 72 retweets and 359 likes. And then how many of those people actually are going to go find Dale Jr. Foundation and actually send him $5 to be able to be eligible for these? I'm thinking it's not a lot of people. I'm thinking maybe a dozen. I mean, if your odds of winning this are probably pretty good if you want to do it.
Well, they set up. So are they auctioning those off? I know all the other gloves that he did. They auctioned them off.
See, no, that's what iRacing bought the auction. Now what they're doing is they're saying if you give $5 to Dale Jr. Foundation,
Gotcha.
we'll pick a random winner from those people.
Auction of the auction to gloves.
Right.
That's awesome.
And what I'm saying is that group of people that's going to put in the $5 is probably not a lot.
Yeah, you're right. You probably have a pretty good chance.
Right. So get on it, guys. Friday is coming up soon. Okay, Chris, you're next.
Yep. Next is a tweet from iRacing congratulating fellow iRacers Justin Allgaier and Justin Haley on their wins this weekend. I believe, Justin won in a really awesome truck race, if anybody of y'all caught that, and then Allgaier won in the Xfinity car. But there was a couple of responses to this tweet saying that there were some iRacers saying they'd never seen these guys on the sim. Have you guys actually bumped into them? I mean, obviously
I've seen Allgaier on. I don't know about Haley.
Yeah, man, and I think we're going to see more and more of this as you start seeing some of these younger guys that grew up with these things. Get into real life racing. You'll see more and more iRacers that are out there winning real races.
Show me a winner who's not on iRacing. I mean, maybe Martin Truex Jr. I mean, I don't think I remember seeing him there.
Well, the thing is, I think even the ones that aren't here are probably using, the simulators at the race shops. And
Right.
From what Junior was saying, those simulators are, a worse experience. iRacing has a better product, so why don't you just use the better product? get you a nice rig.
All right, Craig, you're next.
Got me napping. This one is kind of appropriate to talk about even after this, but Christopher Bell posted on his Twitter account, heading into Too Tough to Tame this week. Means plenty of iRacing time to prepare for a track I've never been to. Thankful for such an accurate simulation. I probably should have read this tweet and done that this afternoon before I got in the race, but it's good to see, them tweeting, pumping up iRacing, saying they got an accurate simulation of Darlington, and he's going to be testing on it a lot this week.
Yeah, and he always talking up iRacing, and I really do appreciate that from Christopher Bell. So it's pretty cool that he takes the time to just mention that, hey, this is how I'm getting ready. And he's done this throughout the year. Every time he goes to a new track for him, I think he's tweeted, hey, I'm on iRacing, practicing.
Yeah, so speaking of Darlington real quick, that place is obviously super tough. And what do you guys think about the iRacing already taking a track that was super slick and then making it hotter to slow the cars down, like they did this week for NIS, and moving our time from late afternoon to afternoon?
Well, what I don't understand is why haven't they unlocked a gear, the gear? You can run Watkins Glennon or Sears Point, or sorry, Infineon at any gear you want. Why can't they do the gear rule or just change the rear end gear?
Yeah, so that would have made more sense to me, and I didn't know what your input was, because it seems like that would have made more sense than giving us the slicker track to slow the cars down. Just change the gear, or just unlock the gears, and even in the fixed setup, just let us pick whatever gear we want.
Well, let me ask you this. In the real NASCAR, can they pick the gear?
Yes.
Okay, then we should be able to do the same. So I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. But yeah, they did do that. They changed it, and it fixed the problem. I mean, in the races, I have not hit the limiter, but barely. But before they changed it, and it was a lot cooler track, boy, we were all over that limiter. So also Christopher Bell, he was signing autographs at the GameStop Expo at Indianapolis this week, and they were tweeting about his 5700 iRating, actually, and they had a simulator there, and they show him in the sim at the expo actually doing some laps, and pretty cool. They got a play seat set up there for him, and he's doing some laps. I can't tell about the wheel. It looks like a Fanatec maybe.
Yeah, let me see here.
But they got his race car. It's sitting there right behind him, his Xfinity ride, and with the GameStop paint job and whatnot. So pretty cool.
I don't think, no, that's not I think that's a Thrustmaster.
Oh. All right, well, let's jump into hardware, software. Tony, you're up first.
Yeah. So there's Nicholas Bailey. Sorry, guys. Talking about the Netgear, the routers, the things that have been screwing up a lot. So Nicholas Bailey threw up a post on the forums letting people know that he actually put in a support ticket with Netgear, and he wrote out a huge write-up of what's been going on, what's been reported, what they've been able to find out. And there's been a couple of other people that have also posted and kind of let Netgear know that they had to, move to another brand of router to get around this problem. But so far, there's been no response from Netgear on the forum, and I don't think there's been any updates, whether from Nicholas Bailey, whether they've answered the ticket at all.
No, I don't think there's an update, but it's nice that he at least is trying to, interface with Netgear to try to figure out what the issue is. So anyway, a developing story. Hopefully we'll learn more. Okay, next up is a double fan wind kit. Greg, I think you might have found this post, but basically it's this website on Facebook called Nemesis Lab, and they did a post this week showing a double fan wind kit, and they called it epic. They posted up some pictures of this thing, and they got some fans hooked up to some wires hooked into the computer, and it blows, air on them, like obviously based on your speed, and it gives you a more immersion. What do you guys think of this?
I could definitely use this just to keep me cooled down sometimes, but I've been following this Nemesis Labs. They have some really creative creations for their, they've got a rig that they're building right now. They've got all these other hardwares that they're trying to add into it, and it looks like, they've got the right idea about trying to make an immerse you into the simulator, without, I think some of their stuff too isn't, doesn't break the bank to do it too.
Yep. Yeah, I think I've seen these before, but yeah, this is a new version of it, so I don't know exactly how to put it together too. I mean, how do you program it? That's the real thing.
I'm guessing it's probably like anything like those, any of the rumble packs or things like that for the seats. It's probably its own software that has to run in behind
Or like a high
iRacing.
flag.
Yeah, it's all those things that it's its own program, and it uses data that's coming out of iRacing to convert it into whatever they needs to for the wind.
Right. All right, Chris, you're next.
Next, we have a post from Michael Main, and he's preparing us to get ready for almost anything from China to be more expensive. He's saying his next order from Moboto falls under the newest list tariff at 25%. That means on a $100,000 order from Moboto, we pay the U.S. an additional $25,000 just to bring it in. He used to say, "I know Trump means well, but this is the wrong way to go about it. U.S. manufacturers unable and unwilling to produce Chinese-made goods at prices reasonable for U.S. consumers. U.S. workers are unwilling to work for the same wages, and rightly so in some aspects, as the cost of living is crazy high here, but still, it's only going to hurt American businesses and American consumers." Sorry, wanted to rant.
Tony, I don't feel sorry for them, do you? Because 25% is not bad compared to what our conversion rate is.
It's like we're Canada, right?
Canada's in the 30% range right now with the way it's going.
Welcome to our world, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I try to stay as clear from politics as I can, but this kind of falls into the tech stuff that I do follow. And so basically, what he's doing is trying to force his hand against China, getting trying to blow him around. And he's charging this huge tariff that's just only going to end up costing us money. And honestly, if you knew about a lot of the stuff that was manufactured in China, you wouldn't want it over here. I mean, a lot of these electronics are super poisonous, and you don't want these factories in the States. But it's Trump, so.
So yeah, Michael's basically saying, look, the consumer, be ready. You're going to be paying more for stuff that comes from China because of this situation.
So
Yeah, exactly.
So he's purchasing a big order. He's getting a 25% tariff on it that he's got to pay. You're probably going to be hit with like a 30% markup, or probably at least
Right,
enough
he's
to
gotta
cover
make
his money, right?
Yeah, he's passing on the cost. This is the guy you buy Obuto from. This is the
Yeah,
guy I bought
exactly.
my cockpit from, my brakes.
Yeah, he can't eat that. I mean, you're going to pay for it.
Well, you got to remember, and excuse the language, but shit always rolls downhill. And when stuff like this happens, it's always the little guy that ends up paying the final price, and it really, really sucks.
Yeah. Well, long term, hopefully it'll work out, but short term, it might be painful. So hang in there. All right, Greg, what's next?
Well, this is something that, actually me and you, Mike, we've been following this last little week. I've been following it with all the YouTube stuff that's been going on, and also the the article's been right up, but Fanatics Podium Wheelbase First Impressions and their 20-year community event that they held. Was it what day was it? Was it last week?
It was recently.
It was.
A
I think it
couple
was.
days ago.
I can't remember. I was following Matt Malone and he was at it on YouTube and trying to see. They never give a date of what the date was for it, but I could have just missed it. But anyways, I've been following a lot of the impressions on the direct drive 1 and 2 wheel base that they've got coming out, and the whole event that they had was almost like a history lesson of Fanatec as well, because you got to see all their stuff from beginning to end, and then they compared against all their competitors at the event. They had a lot of YouTubers there. They had people, investors, anybody that, they were trying to get this, a quick early preview out to their customer base. They invited to that event.
A crazy video. At the beginning, they show at least a dozen sim rigs all lined up in a row, and I'm not kidding when I say a dozen.
Recently, we were invited to London.
And then they have this other long table where they have all the different kinds of wheels all lined up next to each other, so you can do an A/B comparison, so to speak. But man, what an event! And Brian Sowen, who's a direct drive wheel guru from California, did a fantastic post about his experience. He did go to the event. He did try all the wheels. He did a very long write-up about his whole experience of going to Germany and whatnot. Specifics about the testing that they did on the various wheels, his impressions of each, and what he thought about each brand that was available there to try, pros and cons on each, and then final impression and final notes about his recommendations. Basically, he said that DD1 was good to go. A good value for the money compared to the others. That's the kind of way I read it.
Well, and this is a good jumping, that the DD1 is a good jump from, what most people that are in the Fanatic eco base, they've already got their rims. So if they have to, they just got to purchase the base anyways. That's why it's sold the way it is. And I read through this whole article, the reviews and all the stuff he was doing. I took a 30-minute break from my deliveries for work, and thoroughly went through this when you posted this, Mike, on our messenger. And I'm still trying to make sense of some of the numbers and compare some of the stuff to what I run with my Fanatic CSL Elite base. But, it's not anywhere close to these direct drive bases. I'm not even close sometimes with the 2.5. This isn't even close with the 2.5 base, but it's just as good to see the numbers that are coming from it, and what the guru is feeling from each different thing he does, because they got the direct drive one wheel against the large MiG from Sim Racing Bay. There's the Fanatic DD2, and then there's the small MiG from Sim Racing Bay, AccuForce, and the Bogner 54G, and the CSW 2.5 to give it as a base. They were promoting one of their last generations before they went to direct drive, and just to see the comparison of old and new stuff, it's an interesting read of what Fanatic's done their research and worked around what the competitors have done and what they can get out of something at a reasonably good price.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of them. I think that that DD1's going to be my next wheel. I mean, it's not going to be for a long time. I have a list of upgrades before that, but it's a good wheel for a good price from what I'm seeing.
I have to agree, Chris. I mean, after seeing the article that Brian put up about his impressions of the various wheels and his feedback on everything, and watching this video of the actual event, and what the commentator on the video, who's a different person, I forget his name, but he's also very knowledgeable on wheels, and he had a lot of input to say verbally in this video. But after hearing all that, I've always been on the fence of I would get an AccuForce as my next wheel. But now I'm thinking
Recently,
DD1. Even though I don't have anything Fanatec, I would get a DD1 right now with an oval wheel, like a Max Pappas wheel with 2 button, push to talk, and I'm good to go. And if you give me that, I would be happy. From what I've seen, I'm very impressed by this. So you guys check out Gamer Muscle Videos on YouTube. It's all one word. Gamer Muscle Videos, all one word.
Well, and Fnatic also has an oval wheel too, Mike. I don't know if you've ever looked into it. They have a big oval wheel too.
Yeah, and that might be perfectly fine. But after seeing the quick release and how that works, and they discussed how it was designed and all this stuff, I'm just very impressed.
Well, and the nice thing is all their components are in the center of the wheel. There's no lines to hook up. I think the AccuForce, don't you have to hook up?
Yeah, it's like a separate base thing you put off on the floor.
Yeah, but it's got a tether that hooks into the wheel, right? Like the rim, because
Right.
it gets the brain.
Oh yeah, you got.
There's no brain inside the base, whereas Fnatic puts all their brain in the base.
Right.
Yeah, the included software is a pretty big deal too, because I've definitely looked into these a bit, trying to lay out my hardware path, I guess. And from most of the other wheels, it's going to take a decent amount of configuring and stuff to get these things going. And that the software that comes with it's a pretty big deal. They just kind of glaze over it.
And my impression on the software side was the Fanatec DD1 software is easy to use, and basically you can almost plug and play.
Yeah, and like I said, that's a pretty big deal for me, because you can spend, hours or days trying to get your wheel set up right.
Well, and now that I've got 3 rims for my Fnatic, going between them and because Fnatic comes with 5 different settings that you can set in the base. So, my first setting is ovals, my second setting's road, and you can have all your settings set the way you want them to be. And you don't have to worry about, retuning it each time you got to go into something. Like today, I was testing on the road, quickly got ready for the NIS race, and switched over to my other rim and didn't have a problem.
Yeah, the AccuForce is what you're talking about. That's the one that you could spend days dialing in because they got 5 million settings.
Well, and he wrote that in the article too, that some of the stuff when you're the default for AccuForce was okay, but he said he could spend up to 500 laps trying to get it dialed in.
Right.
Now that
Well,
also, oops, keep going.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to move on to the other thing that I was going to talk about this week, but if you got a thought there, just go.
Well, there was one more component of this story I did want to miss. David Tucker put up on his personal YouTube page, so you'd have to search David Tucker, a updated video showing the Fanatec GT3 wheel with knob support. And so he's going to release in the September build some functionality that will help those knobs for that particular wheel.
Well, and speaking of that, so if anybody wants to go to my Twitch page right now, I'm holding up that exact rim because that's the rim I just purchased. It's so if you want to go to my Twitch, it's or twitch.tv/Froozenkaktus, Frozen with 2 O's and Cactus with 2 K's. I'll show you in the picture here what he's talking about too. The wheel comes with 4 buttons on each side plus 2 little triggers that are good for hitting for push the talk, and then it's got 3 knobs. The 2 top knobs are click to settings, so they have 12 different settings each. So you have each time you click it once, all 8 of those buttons on the wheel can be mapped to something different. You click it to 2, all of those 8 become something. Click it to 3, all those 8 can be something. So every time
it could be like your relative boxes,
Yep.
Your F3 box, your F4.
So when I first tested with the Audi R8, I put the left one on the screen here when I'm showing. I changed it to all my F boxes. So click 1 is F1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through it, and I just have to switch it to go through everything. On the other dial, I have, so like on the Audi R8, position 1 was brake bias. So brake bias, I have it in position 1. I hit the B button. I'm gonna change these knob buttons because you can change, they're interchangeable. But B is increase brake bias. A is decrease it. I move it to setting 2. It could be on those cars. It could be the regenerative system. So increase the amount of energy you want to store and decrease it on the right side. The other thing I found it was nice for was, what car was it? I'm thinking it was I think I was doing the IMSA. I was doing the Chevy Corvette prototype car. It had front and rear brake bias, or not brake bias setting, but settings for the suspension. So in position 2, on the left side here at Y and X on my wheelbase, or on the wheel, I can change the front, and on the right side of it I can change the back in position 2, and then switch to another setting. There's probably, I haven't counted and seen the actual amount of how many button settings there are, but if iRacing's creating a tool where just switching these buttons goes directly to it and you can see it on the screen, or whatever this thing was that you're showing. I haven't watched this video that you put up there, Mike. I just noticed it. But I even noticed on this rim, it has the dual clutch. The dual clutch on this rim is very handy when it comes to those starts. I did it, the first one I tried it on was the Skip Barber, which is a standing start, which I didn't notice a very big difference. But then on the Radical, I was able to, on my first Radical race, I gained 2 positions going into the first corner just by launching with the dual clutch on the back. So where you lift, so with the dual clutch, you charge one side up, you turn the knob on the steering wheel, which I'll explain this when I do my review more in thoroughly with it, but you turn it to where the car starts rolling, and then you let it out, and it shows on the screen where your bite point is. And then when you're starting, you hold them both, put it in gear, and you let off one side, it starts rolling, and then you slowly let the other side off, and you launch faster. And that's what I noticed when I first use it. So this rim here is helping me on the roadside. I'm going to do a further review and post it on my YouTube and Twitch down the road. Here, I'm going to start shooting it soon. I just want to test it more. It is, but it's, if you can get figuring it out. I went with my first time using it. I went in the Le Mans Audi. I went a second faster already, just with not having to worry about all the settings, because it has the buttons that I needed to worry about everything. So, you know, I don't know if it was just me because of different rim and temperatures and things like that. I didn't notice, but I was like a second faster right off the bat with it. But it also is, with an F1 type steering wheel like it is, you can wrap your arms differently for road racing than you can with an oval wheel, and it turns better. So I've really enjoyed, for the price point that rim is priced at, and working with Fanatic and stuff like that, that I can't beat having that as my road rim from now on. So I look forward to trying it out in the next week here. I'm off next week on holidays, so I'm gonna get a lot more testing on it and probably shoot my review. So look for that. We'll bring it up here on the podcast, I'm sure, at some point again.
Yeah, it's very configurable for sure. Obviously David Tucker is changing iRacing to fully suit all the functionality of this wheel.
I think your new rim sucks.
All right, let's keep moving. Tony, you're next.
Oh, yes. I didn't even look at this one here. It's Mouse Without Borders. Nice little program if you're running more than one computer. It allows you to use your mouse seamlessly, just like you would with multi-screens. Move it from one computer to the other. It's a free download. You go right to the Microsoft website and you can get it from there. It's called Mouse Without Borders. I don't currently use it. I know you use it. You're still using it, Mike.
Yep.
Now I had to stop because I found that when I had stuff full screen across all three screens and I went too far to one side or the other, it would just boot me right out of um, it would boot me out of the full screen and um, well,
Oh,
that just kind of got a little annoying for me. But there, I found a piece of hardware, Logitech mouse, the newer ones. They're kind of pricey at this moment, but they allow you to do the same thing without um, any. I'm not too sure what kind of software, but I imagine just regular, Logitech drivers for
right.
that specific mouse. But it allows you to do the same thing, um, work between computers with just the one USB hub plug-in that they use, or Bluetooth plug. And but it'll also allow you to copy and paste files between the two computers, and I found that part quite
Yeah.
interesting. But if you don't want to spend $100 on a mouse without borders, it does work very well. Minus just the small little annoyances that I had found with kicking you out of full screen.
Yeah, I'm running in windowed mode, so I don't think I have that issue. I use it all the time because I have two computers here in my setup and only one keyboard and mouse, obviously. And so this is our yearly reminder about this for some new people. If you have two computers, you might want to check out Mouse Without Borders. All right, let's jump into results. Let's talk. It was off week last week, so we only got Darlington, which we ran yesterday and earlier today. So let's talk Wednesday fixed. Wow, I got a P3, guys, P3, and it's not a restrictor plate. I can't believe it. It was a great run. I even led some laps at some point. I was legitimately leading too. Uh, anyway, with the top five all day, I actually got wrecked at one point. It was a 1 minute 30 seconds damage. I got it all fixed. I was back at 24th, 25th, or whatever. Made it clear back up to P3. So loved it.
Yeah, that's a
That's
hell of a
fun.
run. Yeah, hell of a run, Mike. This track is so bloody hard.
Yeah, say particularly at Darlington. Yeah.
It felt good. I mean, and I backed it up in a later race. We'll talk about that in a second. Tony Rochette ran with me. He was in a different split, but he got a P8. He did have connection issues where his computer was disconnecting from the internet. He missed the start. He had it was third lap out, wrecked in front of him. He tried to thread the needle, ended up with front end damage, and it was 15 cautions. There were only 6 cars on the lead lap in his event. But he got a P8 after all that, missing the start and being wrecked. Still had a top 10. And then last night, Chris, you were running third, and you got P blown up.
Yeah, it was a good race up till then. Other than I actually started third too and spun my tires right there at the start of the race, which sucked. But luck through it, didn't get wrecked, and had a pretty good race up till then. And so I was running third, and there was a lapped car that shouldn't even been on the track. He was destroyed and just bouncing it off the wall pretty much around the track. And he hit the leader, and then he gets spun around, and instead of holding his brakes, he comes sliding up the track into the hole that I thought I was going to make it up through by the wall, but destroyed again, and another bad week to start.
Yeah, I was also running good. I had a top 5 going. I was leading laps, just like you were. We were both running up front. Uh, and then on a restart, I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden these guys were all over me. I was leading, and then the second place guy came by and kind of roughed me up, and then the third guy came by and hit me from behind, basically. Wrecked me out. Engine blew up shortly after, so I P21. And then Tony Yuta had a P22.
Oh yeah. Boy, did I ever feel like a fish out of friggin' water. That track is like I already said, it is so freaking hard, and I had a hard time wrapping my head around it. I mean, I was getting around well enough, extremely slow. Um, I was mid pack for the race that I had done up to that point. Um, and I don't know if I would have had anything more than that going throughout the run, but I ended up getting wrecked, and I thought it was fairly minimal to an extent, a couple minutes worth of damage. So I came in, got about half of it fixed up, and decided to get back out on track and try to save something. And I got about 3/4 of the way down pit road. My motor blew, and we were already past the halfway point at that race. So I just parked it, called it quits.
Yep. It's tough out there, I tell you what. Greg, you found that out today. You got DQ'd out.
I didn't get DQ'd out. I DQ'd myself out. So nobody did it but myself. That was all on me. A lot of 2X's there, and I got a 1-4X because somebody slowed down in the middle of the track, and I squared him up right in the back. It shouldn't have been a 4X, but it was, and I just turn 3 and 4. I couldn't seem to get slowed down and turn through the corner enough, and that's what cost me a bunch of the time, and that's my own fault for not practicing like I should have. And it's been a tough week at work, so I didn't get much time to practice, and I probably shouldn't have just run that race at all. But I didn't expect to be also in the top split or only have one split because only 34 cars entered into today's race for the afternoon one.
Yeah, I missed it. I had to go to the dentist, and there was only one split. I was watching you for a while before you got DQ'd there. But yeah, I mean, just hit the wall is really tough there. I mean, you got to stay off the wall.
Well, I know you had a little bit of practice earlier in the week, but I think you were practicing on a cooler track, and I really think that's the difference that 10 degrees makes there. Under 100 degrees and that 110 degrees, man, makes just a huge difference on the grip and the track, and you just can't get in there like you can when it was just a little bit cooler.
Well, and I was trying a different setup earlier on in the week and never went to this setup until today, and I probably should have done more laps on it. So that was on me.
Yeah, I worked with Steve Llewellyn a little bit today trying to teach him the line. And you got to know the line here. I mean, if you're just going out there for the first time, you don't know where to go, you won't figure it out. You need somebody to tell you, or you need to watch somebody do it. But let's keep moving. We're running out of time. Next up is Mike Conti wins the Peak race, his first win of the season. And then as far as the NASCAR Ignite Youth Series, it's a second consecutive win for Garrett Lowe. So congratulations to him. Let's jump to final thoughts. Chris Scales, what do you got?
I want to thank John Hammer, as you mentioned, about the guys having to teach you the track at Darlington. He taught me and Tony early in the week how to get around this place, and I would probably still be driving it wrong if it wasn't for that help. And also want to thank the Old Bastards Racing League. I have my permanent number now. I'm number 24, which is an awesome number. I'm not a huge Jeff Gordon fan, but I got respect to that.
They are
number.
Now.
Willie Byron.
Yeah, he has a lot of good paints. Well, they like running like the 80s, 90s stuff, so it'll be the Gordon stuff. He has lots of good paint, so looking forward to running with that. Didn't get to run with him this week. I had planned on running the Xfinity car on Saturday and had a breaker blow in my house, the same one that is on the wall for my rig, Friday night, and then was planning on running the K&N cars Monday, and the motor in my real life car blew up, so missed that one too. But I'll see those guys for the Xfinity race Saturday.
Wow. All right. Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
Just looking forward to this week, and next week I'm off, so I'm probably going to get a bunch of racing in. So I hope to be doing that. I got to keep testing out this new rim and that I got from Fanatic, and hopefully I can get a review out and let people know what I think of it and what it's done for my roadside, because my roadside is pretty much what I've been focusing on the last little while. But I look forward to this week. Like I said, every week, anybody wants to watch or see what the team's doing, you can watch me on twitch.tv/Froozenkaktus, Frozen with 2 O's, Cactus with 2 K's. And you can follow me on all social networks that way. You obviously got the iRacers Lounge and Team Tifosi page. Each week I post going around the track as well, giving somewhat of a quick look at the track and a preview for the week. So I usually put that up late Sunday night, early Monday morning. So I look forward to this week, and next week we're at the Brickyard for the 400.
Long race. Boy, that's full distance too. Yuck. All right. Well, thanks, Greg. Tony Groves, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to shadow Chris a little bit here and send out another, a huge thank you to Mr. John Hammer. I'm exactly in the same boat as Chris. I'd still be bouncing off every single wall along that track if it weren't for him, um, offering up some tips and tricks on how to get around that track. And as well, Chris has been on me pretty hard about looking and getting into the Bastards Racing League. So I'm think I'm ready to drop the hammer on that one.
Yeah, because you're an old bastard too, my friend.
Yeah, we were telling Flowers he wasn't qualified because he wasn't old enough.
Yeah.
Just a baby.
Does that make me a bigger baby?
Big Canadian baby.
At least I'm not the youngest Canadian.
All right, well, cool, Tony. Thanks for that. My final thoughts is, boy, it's been fun. I've been racing the last couple weeks or so with a human spotter, an old ex-teammate who's come on to spot for me, and he's doing a fantastic job. And I've been telling my teammates, I think it's making a difference in my performance. I can't explain why I'm running top 5 at Darlington. I usually don't run that well on non-restrictor plates, but maybe it's because I'm in a lower split. My iRating has fallen a little bit. I don't know, but I really think it has to do with the spotter. And I think the quality of the spotter is a big part of it too. So I'm really enjoying that. Looking forward to more of that as we go through the next weeks. So all off weeks are over for the season. We're done with off weeks until the end. And so we got Indy, and then we got the playoffs, 10 more. And so I'm ready, man. Let's get it. And with that, we'll see you later.
User in your channel stopped
Okay,
recording.
clear. Title ideas.
Something about the Roval.
I picked a decade of iRacing.
That's good too. 10-year stuff.
Yeah.
That was really good too. I do they put together.
All right, we'll take that one.
It's got a decade
Good
of
show.
iRacing and 2 decades of sim equipment.
All right,
Yeah,
good
I'm
show.
digging
Went
their
a little
stuff.
long.
Yeah. This show we didn't have hardly any results.
Well,
I
good
think
thing
it's
we
worth
didn't
it for
have
the
a guest.
Fanatec stuff. Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
If we would have had a peak driver, how would have that worked out, you know?
We have to wait another.
We just
We
had
would
to
have
chop
to
a
cut
bunch of
a ton.
topics. Yeah.
So what's the email that you guys are cleaning, the inbox that you're cleaning out every day?
iRacersLounge@gmail.com.
All right, I'm out. Thanks for listening to the
Well, I'll be back, guys. I gotta
podcast
get
this
a
week,
couple things
guys.
done before the race.
See you next.